Anthony Michael Center and Joseph Testa, aka the Gemini twins, would transfer to the Lucchese family, working side by side with Anthony Gaspipe Casso after murdering their captain and leader of the DeMeo crew, Roy DeMeo, on orders passed down from Gambino boss Paul Castellano. After their national car theft ring was busted by authorities, and Castellano grew worried that DeMeo would flip and turn government witness. The Gemini twins were instrumental players in the DeMeo crew and were important parts of the DeMeo murder machine, suspected by the FBI of killing as many as 250 people for the Gambino family, and were even willing to take murder contracts from other members of the five families as long as the price was right. Anthony Center and Joseph Testa were both born in 1955 and living in Brooklyn, became friends in their early teens. At 15, the men went searching for a Puerto Rican man who had mugged their neighbor at knife point. They borrowed a car and spent the day looking for him unsuccessfully, but in 1973, when Testa ran into the man, they got into a bar fight and Testa was nearly killed after being stabbed and the knife punctured his lung. He then tracked the man down and nearly beat him to death with his fists. Anthony Center racked up 3 auto theft charges by the time he was only 15 years old in 1970. All of Testa and Center's charges as juveniles would be tossed out. The two men were given the nickname the Gemini twins because they were said to always be around each other and because the name of the DeMeo crew's main hangout was the Gemini Lounge. Associates of the two men and the DeMeo crew said that the two were so close that Joe Testa could start a sentence and Center would finish it. Both of the Gemini twins grew up looking up to neighborhood wise guys and wanted a piece of the action. Center's uncle, Robert Center, was an associate to the Gambino family and Colombo associate as well, who was most known for his role in the kidnapping and murder of both Carlo Gambino and Paul Castellano's nephew, Emmanuel Gambino, over a reported $80,000 debt that Robert Center had racked up with the victim. Center would plead guilty on June 1st of 1973 to a reduced charge of manslaughter and be sentenced to 15 years in prison. After being arrested, Center snitched on his accomplices, Richard Kyson and Warren Sherman. Both Joe Testa and Anthony Center were gaining reputations for violence and willingness to go to the extreme if need be, but according to mob associates, Joe Testa was considered to be more dangerous than Center, although it said people liked Center more as a person, but that didn't stop them from running to Joe Testa first when they were under the threat of violence. The pair would eventually get their violent and gruesome careers started under Gambino captain and psychopath Roy DeMeo, known for killing so many people that they had a name for the way they would kill their victims called the Gemini method, also named after the hangout, the Gemini Lounge. The victim would be walked to the back of the bar towards a connected apartment. Someone would shoot the man in the head with the silenced pistol, a towel would be wrapped around his head to stop the blood, and they'd be stabbed in the heart to make the blood stop pumping altogether. They would then take their body, hang him in the bathtub to drain the blood, and then chop the body in pieces and ship it to the Fountain Avenue dump in Brooklyn for disposal. Through a man named Chris Rosenberg, a 16-year-old family member of Roy DeMeo and Gambino associate, by giving Center and Testa a job stealing cars after having them wax his Porsche and Corvette, Testa and Center would be formally introduced to DeMeo through Rosenberg in late 1972, who asked them to officially become members of the DeMeo crew, which included Testa's brother Patrick Testa, Richard and Frederick Danone, Roy DeMeo's cousin Joseph Dracula Guglielmo, Henry Borelli, Vito Arena, and Carlo Perfetta. Center was an accomplished car thief but was highly disliked by Roy DeMeo's son, Albert, who believed Center shouldn't be trusted, in which he would be proved right when it came out that Center and Testa were both involved in the execution of DeMeo, which we'll touch back on in a minute. The DeMeo crew at their peak were not only respected and feared for their violence and willingness to brutally murder anyone who crossed their path, but were also known for bringing in lots of money off their various rackets, which included loan sharking, a major national auto theft ring, money laundering, and extortion. which also caused certain higher-ups in the Gambino family, such as Paul Castellano, to turn a blind eye to all of the unsanctioned hits, along with their lucrative drug business, because of all the money DeMeo was said to be kicking up. One of the first hits the Gemini twins were said to be involved in occurred on June 13, 1975. One of Roy DeMeo's partners in the auto theft ring, Andre Katz, had a falling out with DeMeo over a business interest, which put a target on Katz's back. DeMeo, along with Anthony Senner and Joe Testa, as well as Henry Borelli, would lure Katz to an apartment complex in Manhattan, where he'd be kidnapped and taken to a supermarket in Rockaway Beach in Queens, taken to the meat department and stabbed multiple times in the heart and also in the back with a butcher knife, and then dismembered by all four men. This is one of at least 8 murders that the Gemini twins were said to be directly involved in, or at least 8 that could be proven. Another man named Jerome Hoffaker would be shot and killed in June of '77 by the twins after getting into a fight with Dennis Testa, Joey's brother. Hoffaker was 23 years old when he was killed. A Lucchese associate was ordered to be killed by a Lucchese capo after finding out Michael DiCarlo was responsible for raping a young boy, and on May 16, 1979, the Gemini twins, along with DeMeo, Borelli, and Guglielmo, using their famous Gemini method, murdered the man after being stabbed, beaten, and sodomized by the crew. Another crew member, Danny Grillo of the DeMeo crew, would experience the Gemini method when DeMeo, Testa, Senner, and Rosenberg decided he had to go after they claimed Grillo became addicted to drugs and racked up a giant gambling debt. Chris Rosenberg, who was a relative of Roy DeMeo and who DeMeo looked at as a son, would also eventually be murdered by his own crew, but was not dismembered like most victims, but instead left in his car near the gate leading into the National Wildlife Refuge on Cross Bay Boulevard in Broad Channel, Queens, New York. Rosenberg had set up a meeting with the Cuban drug dealer who was connected to the Cuban cartel from Florida, and when the men flew into New York, Rosenberg killed them and robbed them instead of completing their drug deal. So as a result, the Cubans threatened a war with the Gambinos if Rosenberg didn't answer for his actions. So Nino Gaggi, who was in charge of the DeMeo crew, wanted DeMeo to make an example out of Rosenberg and ordered him to kill his relative and make sure the Cubans can verify it. Rosenberg was lured to the Gemini Lounge where he was shot in the head by a hesitant DeMeo, and when Rosenberg began rising from the floor, Senner stepped up and shot Rosenberg 4 more times in the head before taking the body to Broad Channel. As a result of all the missing persons cases and different crimes and violence connected to the DeMeo crew and the Gemini Lounge, by 1982, the FBI began investigating Roy DeMeo and digging into his various business activities. And with such heavy surveillance on DeMeo, Nino Gaggi put more responsibility on Gemini twins Anthony Senner and Joseph Testa, and developed more of a trust for the 2 men. So when Gaggi discovered a Lucchese associate, 65-year-old James Bennett, was going to testify on DeMeo crew member Richard Mastrangelo, he sent the Gemini twins to handle it, ending with Bennett never arriving to court after being shot twice in the head. An FBI wiretap picked up a conversation between Angelo Ruggiero and Gene Gotti on a bug placed in Ruggiero's home, discussing a murder contract on Roy DeMeo, put out by Paul Castellano, after Castellano was indicted for his involvement in the DeMeo crew's car theft ring, and Big Paul grew suspicious of DeMeo, fearing he would flip and turn government's witness, but he was having trouble finding someone to do it. Originally, the hit was given to Gambino underboss Frank DeChico, who passed it on to DeMeo's men because nobody else could get close enough. According to Albert DeMeo, Roy DeMeo's son, he knew he was going to be killed after the indictment came down and was said to be walking around with the sawed-off shotgun inside of a trench coat. DeMeo was ultimately lured to Patrick Testa's auto body shop in Canarsie, Brooklyn, to meet up with his men, where he was shot behind each ear and multiple times in the head, as well as once in the hand. Nino Gaggi was the original suspect, but according to other sources, the The 2 shots behind the ear was the Gemini twins' style of killing. But according to Anthony Gaspipe Casso's testimony, DeMeo was actually killed in Patrick Testa's home by Center and Testa while sitting down waiting for coffee. Casso testified that he had gave the hit to the twins personally following a conversation with Paul Castellano. Following the DeMeo hit without a captain, the Gemini twins turned to the Lucchese family, most likely due to their relationship with Gaspipe, and according to Casso, Testa and Center also killed Russian gangster Vladimir Reznikov, who threatened the life of a family member of the wrong Russian mobster, Marat Balagula of Brighton Beach. On September 14th of 1989, both Center and Testa's evil lifestyle would catch up with them when they both received life sentences for multiple murders, as well as numerous other crimes. Anthony Center is currently located at USP Allenwood, United States Penitentiary in Pennsylvania, and Joseph Testa is located at Federal Correctional Institute, located in Terminal Island, Los Angeles, California. The case against Testa and Center, headed by Rudy Giuliani, originally started as a 78-count indictment, but because there were so many charges, including multiple murders for the Gambino family, the judge on the case split the indictment into 2 separate cases. In the first trial, 6 of the 8 defendants were convicted of their crimes and their role in the car theft ring, and the second trial lasted 17 months, which mainly included charges that the men committed many murders out of a Brooklyn apartment for the Gambino crime family, as well as racketeering charges. According to prosecutors, the DeMeo crew stole thousands of cars in New York City and presented evidence of 25 different murders where the DeMeo crew, including the Gemini twins, gruesomely murdered and dismembered mobsters and some civilians as well. All in all, I think it's safe to say the Gemini twins were as real as it gets in that life, and definitely earned their reputation in organized crime as capable and serious killers who you would not want on your bad side. In my opinion, this is one of the more interesting and entertaining videos I've done yet. Let me know if you agree by dropping a comment in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, please smash the like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe and click the notification bell for notifications on all new content. Thank you for watching, and thank you for your support. Until next time, it's Wise Guy TV.